First step, I easily went to the website and filled out the intake form. A couple days later, I got an email from a coordinator and we scheduled a quick phone call. It was really easy. I answered a few questions about my previous pregnancy and the rest is history. After the initial phone conversation, I came down to the Northwest Surrogacy Center office in Portland for my first journey. My second journey, all of my conversations were done by Zoom. There was a background check that needed to be completed, and my partner came with me for the first interview as well as the second. So next steps were giving permission to Northwest Surrogacy Center to obtain my medical records from my own pregnancy. Once they were gathering those records, I also then went through a psych evaluation with my partner. We kind of made a fun date night experience out of the psych evaluations, and they were a little intimidating at first, but once we talked with the counselor that we spoke with, it was actually a really enjoyable experience. Once I was approved, I remember getting the email. It was actually my 30th birthday, so I was very excited when I got the official approval. Then my coordinator started sending me profiles for intended parents to match with. The first profile that I got, I didn't feel quite a connection with, and so I asked if I could pass. And then I was sent another profile, which I ended up selecting. It was for a same-sex male couple. They are now an extension of my family, so I'm glad that I ended up going with them. But once I selected the profile and they were okay meeting me as well, we had a Zoom meeting with my partner and the both of them. It felt like we'd already known each other once we started talking, and now I visit them every year. After I matched with my first set of intended parents, my partner and I got to travel to the fertility clinic that they were working with. For us, it happened to be Seattle, so we got a getaway without our daughter in Seattle for a night. The evaluation was really easy at the fertility clinic, just kind of like a normal annual checkup with your OB, if you will. Then I was working with my contracts with my own personal attorney, so we were protected as well as the intended parents. And then once our contracts were signed and it was official, I was then joined into a Northwest Surrogacy surrogate Facebook group, just to kind of gain the support of other surrogates. So after I matched with the intended parents, the next step we moved on to was starting the IVF medication cycle. It can seem a little intimidating, but the coordinators kept it very simple, and you get your medications mailed to you with all of the instructions of how to do the shots and to move forward, but I promise there's worse things. It's really not that bad. The intended parents as well before that would have funded the trust account. So again, all of your compensation is protected before you start the medication side of the journey. So the most exciting step is you make it to the embryo transfer. I had 2 different fertility clinics with both of my journeys, so I got to travel both times. My partner got to come with me. You can have any support partner you would like. They were kind of like mini vacations. The embryo transfer itself is extremely easy. It's probably easier than most people would expect. It takes like 5 minutes and you're done. It's painless. It's just as simple as getting a checkup. So it's probably the most exciting, but also the easiest part of the journey. So after the embryo transfer, it is the longest 10 days of your life while you wait for the blood test to confirm your pregnancy or to not confirm your pregnancy. I've had a couple transfers and a couple journeys. My first journey, it was successful. My second journey, I did have a failed transfer the first time, but after a break and then starting meds again, we had a second successful transfer. So it can happen in different ways, but both times it was the most fun part to get to see the confirmation through blood test. Then you have an ultrasound a bit later, and then you're pregnant. So after all of the initial medication and ultrasounds and then pregnancy confirmation is just the pregnancy. So this is where you go to traditional OB appointments. You can have the intended parents visit if you want. My intended parents both times came around the 20-week ultrasound and joined for that appointment since it's usually the most fun with the anatomy scan. So just kind of your normal doctor visits, and then you go about your own life. If you have any bills or medical expenses during that time, I would just send them to the agency and get reimbursement. But it's kind of the easy part of the pregnancy now. You just wait until the end. So after all of the steps, the most amazing part happens. You get to give the parents their baby, or in my experience, babies. My first journey after the intended parents made it, when I delivered their twins, it was the biggest relief just seeing them arrive and get to hold their babies. It felt like my job was done, protecting their babies was done, and now their family is complete, how they see it. And it was the most rewarding feeling, and I've got to do that 2 times, which was even more special. Afterwards, our relationship has organically grown. I've visited a couple times. We stay in touch and text and FaceTime. So yeah, I wouldn't change anything about my journeys. Did I pump for the intended families that I carried for? My first journey, yes, I did while they were in town for about 6 weeks. And then after they went home, I pumped until about 8 weeks postpartum. I did ship a couple boxes of breast milk cross country. My second journey, no, I did not pump. I got to sleep through the night, every single night.
So for my journey, I did pump while I was in the hospital, and then after my intended parents left, because they were only here for about 2 weeks, I actually pumped for my niece, and I was able to supply for about 2 months with her. So I thought that was an amazing experience as well.